242. Average food tab at lunch, 13.
They have a restaurant called Yvette's. You'll love it, in Addison. Watch me on Good Morning Texas this morning. I'll even cook for you, but I won't at the restaurant.
It's Good Morning Texas, live with Deborah Duncan and Todd Whitthorne.
Good morning, Texas, and thank you so much for joining us. Yes, Barry Switzer says, but he does cook because he lived by himself for 15 years. He had to learn how to cook.
You got to like a guy like that. He's very honest. You know, I'm opening a restaurant. I won't be in the kitchen. He'll be shaking some hands, though, I'll tell you. You know, when you say that someone spends their days on the sidelines, it usually means they're watching life pass them by, unless you're talking about our first guest this morning.
He's always game for a challenge and is never afraid to say he did it his way.
We did it our way, baby!
I've loved, I've laughed and cried, I've had my fill, my share of losing, and now, as tears subside, I find it all so amusing to think I did all that, and may I say, not in a shy way, oh no, not me, I did it my way.
We did it our way, baby!
And we are very happy to welcome Old Blue Eyes this morning, Barry Switzer. Good morning.
Good morning, Deborah. Todd.
Hey, Coach, how you doing?
Doing great.
You know, about 50 weeks ago, I was in Phoenix in a big old press tent listening to you talk about a big old trophy that you had just won. Now the season's over for the Cowboys. Can you talk about having gone to the top, been to the mountaintop, and you've been there many times, what it's like not to get there the following year?
Well, first of all, let me tell you, it's hard to do. That's why a lot of people haven't done it many times,
sure.
And it's very difficult. And first thing you got to do is stay healthy and keep your players. It's a players' game, and we just ran out of players, actually. You know, I thought about, you know, losing it, obviously, at Carolina, losing Michael and Dion in that ball game. I would hate to have to go play Green Bay without those players. And you worry about other things happening to other players that we would have. And the key is staying healthy and keeping them ready to play.
Yeah. You know, one thing about being a coach, as you well know, is that when you're winning, everyone loves you. When you lose, everyone hates you. It's a tough position to be in. But I heard you make a response to a reporter once I thought was very fitting, and it talked about how things are just relative. And you said something to the effect that no one can really say anything to you to hurt you, considering how you grew up. And you talk about how you grew up in your book, Bootlegger's Boy. You've had some tougher things in life than anyone could ever probably say to you.
Well, I think that's true. I think that I have a thick skin because of how I did grow up. But I'm typical of the times. I think when I grew up in an era that most people grew up like I did, and not only in the conditions you lived in, the material conditions, but I did have a different lifestyle because of my father's profession, being a bootlegger, and being quite ostracized at that time. I didn't know why no one would date me, but I found out later on that it was prejudice and biased reasons in the Bible Belt community. But obviously, my mother committed suicide when I was young. My dad was murdered by his black mistress, and I used to drive my mother and my younger son every other Sunday to the state penitentiary and to see my dad when he was incarcerated, and he never saw me play high school football because he was in penitentiary. I took all this baggage with me when I was 18 years old to the University of Arkansas. So I had to overcome some things. So when I think about my life today, when people think about how tough it is, then I think and laugh with a little titillation chagrin about, hey, when you have experienced what I've experienced, this isn't tough. So when Jerry pays me $1 million to coach football, and if I got the Randy Hansons of the world want to stick it in me, baby, because I know my family and my friends love me, and that's all that ever counts in this life.
With that said, you know, we look at a lot of the players as being role models, and you yourself, you are a role model in a sense. What do you have to say to those kids out there who sometimes let their environment define what their future is going to be? You didn't let that happen to you.
Well, you know, we all make mistakes, and I made mistakes along the way. Mine probably weren't as publicized as some of, obviously, our high visible players are in this day and age because of what media is like today. But coaches do care, and we do give thousands to do good talks. I care that at the collegiate level, we have an impact on young people's lives. At this level, not so. We're dealing with adult men, people that make their own decisions, and and obviously should be held accountable for their actions and their behavior. And we all know that. It's a tough enough job raising your own kids, but when you inherit a group of young men, I have always said to them, I've told them my life story when I had young people and tried to impact on them that football is winning from football games, obviously the alumni, but I'm trying, and most coaches trying to teach young men how to prepare to live the next 30, 40, 50 years of their lives to take care of themselves and their family, and I truly believe in that. Coaches try to do that, and we do care about our players and love them, and I often say to them, tell someone today that you love them and you care about them, and I really truly mean that. And I think the three most difficult words you can say is I love you and I care about you, and for a man to say it to a man is very difficult, but I can say that to people, and I've felt very open about that all my life, and people that know me know that I mean it and care.
Coach, in my previous life as a sportscaster, I covered you. I worked a couple years in Tulsa when you were at OU, and I remember the incredible glare of the spotlight there, certainly at a national championship level. Then you come here, probably the highest profile job in professional football, no doubt about it. Do you ever sit back and think, you know, I wouldn't mind coaching junior college football in like northern Iowa or something?
No, never thought about that. If I was going to coach anywhere, I would want to be at the top. I've only coached at the top. At Arkansas, we won championships, won a national championship. I went to Oklahoma. We had nothing but great success. And then, of course, coming to the Cowboys, I've often said if Jerry Jones had owned the Seattle Seahawks, I wouldn't have been coaching in professional football. But the logistics of it, this area of the country, the people that live in this area, there's no difference between Oklahomans and Texans other than the Red River. And the buildings down here are a lot larger. The highways are wider, but the people are the same.
Coach.
Go ahead and tell him what you want to tell him.
What?
You said you want to tell him you love him.
Well, that'll come later. We have a whole other segment coming up. We're going to go in the kitchen.
Right.
That's where guys usually bond.
Make sure you're not trying to weasel out of that, Todd. Okay.
When we come back, we're going to talk to Barry about his role in a new playing field, the restaurant business. So we're going to go in the kitchen and see what kind of damage we can do over there. No food fights, though, Coach. Okay.
That's going to be fun.
Also on the show today, in our area for the Dallas Video Festival, we have singer, comedian, and wife of the late Ernie Kovacs, Miss Edie Adams, and along with Joe Hodgson of Mystery Science Theater 3000 fame.
They've got a cult following, I'll tell you that.
I love it.
Also, a trio of ladies with talent to spare. The singing, swinging, fiddle-playing Dixie Chicks are here.
Also, movie critic Gary Cogill previews Mother and Marvin's Room, two interesting movies out this weekend.
That's right, and News 8's Pam Curry is going to preview a family-first documentary marking a very somber occasion, the one-year anniversary of Amber Hagerman's kidnapping. We'll talk about that later in today's show.
I'll be right back.
Words that come to mind are elegant, progressive, romantic, glamorous, and chic. No, I'm not talking about Coach Barry Switzer, but Yvette, the new Dallas restaurant that Barry's going to open coming up soon. And Barry joins us now to tell us a little more about what we can expect, and also a very special friend with you that goes way back. Bob Djahanguiri is here. Good morning, Bob. How are you? Thanks for joining us. Tell me about the relationship. Tell us about Yvette.
Well, we go back 25 years. Bob and Mosey, his brothers, were partners in a restaurant. I've known him since they were both students at the University of Oklahoma, both graduated OU, and they have very successful restaurants in Chicago, 4 of them, 3 in Minneapolis, and Mosey sold the ones in Minneapolis and came to Dallas for us to open a beautiful restaurant that everyone will, I'm certainly enjoy.
Now, you said earlier, this ain't no dang sports bar.
No, this is no sports bar, I promise you.
Just a beautiful green, and then shock them in ice water.
Okay.
That's right.
Okay.
Thank you. And then some of the technology of the cooking is to be hot, and we can sear anything, fish or quail or anything we have, but we sear with the olive oil.
So turn up the heat.
Yeah, turn up the heat. It already I had it. So you have to prepare it ahead of time. This is our quail, salt and pepper. We do the salt and pepper with a little bit. This is a kosher salt. You can feel it. I usually use my hand for this. I don't use a fork because I feel how much.
Now, Barry,
Yeah.
a guy in your position, you have all sorts of business opportunities. Is it kind of neat for you to be able to pick and choose and say, this is the kind of restaurant I personally enjoy, I want to bring it to Dallas and share it with my friends?
Well, the theme is something I've always enjoyed. It's the Chicago, New York style. We have live entertainment. We have a dance floor. The ambiance is romantic, and I think it's something people have to experience to understand and know exactly what I mean by seeing this theme that we have in our restaurant. And I think I've always been involved in different wow.
Get back, Coach. Get back. Get the fire extinguisher.
This guy knows what he's doing.
Bob, what are you doing? No wonder you don't want to spend time in the kitchen.
Most of my ventures have been hamburger joints. No, we don't blow up hamburgers.
All right.
Man alive.
Okay, I'm going to put
Did you do that on purpose, Bob?
Yeah, no.
No.
I told you with the cognac, and then we added some chicken stock. We have in
Oh
here.
my, the smoke alarms are going off soon.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, just a little bit, okay? So now we have that quail. If you give me
Okay.
the-
This is the
Yeah,
finished
that's
product
the quail.
over here. We got a shot of that.
Yeah,
We
right.
can show the folks at home the finished
Yeah,
product here. Let's
yeah.
let's get to work on this
Yeah, you're right.
this sole.
Yeah, see
Okay.
that? That's easy.
So you take
we-
the same?
That's right. We
same
just have
stuff?
it. Sausage,
If y'all need me,
Yeah.
I've got
Just stand by.
Yeah, I'm going to
Just
put
in
it
case
right
of
over
emergency.
here, and in case you need it, it'll be right back here, okay?
This is your quail right here.
You didn't expect that,
No, I
did you?
didn't. That shocked me.
No, you're not going to be in the kitchen, but are you going to spend a lot of time at the restaurant in the off-season?
Obviously, in the off-season, I will spend some time there. We have, obviously, Jerry Jones is involved with us, and
Careful. Step over here,
very,
Coach.
I think that we're very proud of what we've been able to do, and I think people should just come out and experience it, and if they like it, come back. And
It's a good philosophy
and
in a
I think-
restaurant.
Right. And
So you and Jerry are kind of partners. Is that a good idea to be partners with your boss?
well, it really, you know, in this type of business, it really doesn't make any difference, because if Jerry and I ever split ways, you know how we're going to do it? I'm going to shake your hand and say, hey, Jerry, I enjoyed it. It's
Had
the right
fun?
thing to do. Let's move on down the road. And Jerry's that kind of man, and I'm that kind of man. So
good.
I never am concerned about those things.
All right.
Okay, Bob, we got a little Dover sole
Okay,
working
we
here.
have a Dover sole. We cook. We already have cooked for you one.
Okay.
So now what we
What's
do
the
is
key on
we
this?
try to bone that. That is, I think it's very nice to see how we bone that the Dover sole. Let me get this one here. All right. We save this one for the sauce.
Okay.
And while I'm doing this, so why we don't make a sauce? So here what we have, we add a little butter. Here.
Okay.
Little butter. This is called
A little nervous, aren't you? You're a little nervous?
Blow up again.
And
Well,
have
look
a
at the
lemon.
eyebrows, you know. Deborah, you
Now,
standing by? You got
you
the...
put a limit. What are you
Yeah,
making
just
now?
We're making a sauce for the Dover
the
sole.
Dover
We have
sole?
them in here.
English Dover sole.
English Dover sole. That
English
comes,
Dover
that
sole.
comes
There is a
from
difference.
England. We have a little white wine, so watch your hair, Coach. All right.
Oh, my. You thought it got hot on the sidelines, huh? In the locker room. No.
Okay, we are finished with that. Now we're going to bone the Dover sole.
Coach, you're aware.
Okay.
I mean, there's a lot of
Yeah,
restaurants
that's-
in Dallas. This is a... Oh, we're going to bone this. Okay.
There's a lot of restaurants, but not any like this.
So, I mean,
promise
but
you
I mean,
that.
in terms of competition and things, that doesn't worry you, does it?
No, we're not, because we're different. We have 2 full-size kitchens. We can have banquets for 400 people.
Yes.
Wedding receptions, corporate dinners. We market 5 private dining rooms. And believe it or not, Dale Hansen is speaking in my restaurant for the Restaurant Association on what, January the 14th.
Really? How did that happen? Dale Hansen?
Dale will be
Dale and Jerry together again, huh?
in the Restaurant Association banquet. What, 14th of January or 19th? I can't remember. Someone told me the other day. I said, Dale's money's even good.
All right. Okay. Okay, Coach.
That'll be a good day.
I don't have to eat this, do I?
No, that's not it. All right, Coach, you got to help me now with
Take the bone out. What are you talking about?
You gotta help
I
me.
always fillet my fish.
Okay,
I
what
never
you
have
do
bone in
now,
my
this
fish.
is see what you do.
See, he's
this-
making
Yeah,
you work.
look at
You're
that.
just not a
Oh,
silent
right,
partner.
There we go. I'm pulling
That's
the bone
right.
out.
All right.
English
What we
Dover
have-
sole.
So now we got this one. Now put it right here, Coach. Okay, now we have our sausage ready.
Okay, well,
All
we're all
right.
set. We just pour that stuff on. And again, as always, if you want the recipes, you can give us a call in the viewer hotline. You can also send a self-addressed
All right.
stamped envelope to
All right.
Quail and Sole Recipes,
Yeah, that's
care
right.
of Yvette Restaurant.
Thank
The
you.
address is 14775 Midway Road, Dallas, Texas. You see the zip code there, 752 244. And they do have fire extinguishers at the restaurant, so there should be no problem at all. Bob, thank you very much.
A lot of exits.
Thank you, Bob. Appreciate it. Good luck. Coach.
You. Come out and join us.
Oh, don't worry. We'll be up there. I don't know if I'll be there the same day Dale's there. That could get a little scary. You never know.
That'd be fun.
Well, stay seated while you can, because a little later, the musical Dixie Chicks will have you on your feet. And up next, hear about one of television's comic pioneers from his wife, the woman with the right touch.
And the right taste, my friend. The light touch and the right taste. The blend is sublime. Why don't you pick one up and smoke it sometime? Muriel makes the shape for you that's just your style. Choose the one that suits you best and give it a try. You get the light touch and the right taste. The blend is sublime. Why don't you pick one up and smoke it?